This week on LTC News, strategies to combat youth homelessness.
So that's really what we're here today, to hear the progress we've made over the past year in working in partnership, in receiving some state and federal funding and city funding to really make a dent in this problem.
The 4th annual Kinetic Sculpture Race.
STEAM-oriented kind of event here. So that's science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics.
In celebrating recovery. All this and much more on this edition of LTC News. Welcome to LTC News. I'm your host, Matt Nelson. LTC is very proud to share with you news of our recent wins at the Alliance for Community Media's Nor'easter Video Awards. LTC won the coveted Overall Excellence Award, as well as placing first in multicam event coverage, second in public service announcements, and third in community impact. Congratulations to LTC's member producers. The field of candidates for City Council is set for the November 5th municipal election. The September 24th preliminary election eliminated 2 candidates from contention, leaving 18. However, incumbent councillor Karen Cirillo decided to withdraw her name to focus on her health, allowing 19th place finisher Martin Hogan to rejoin the ballot. All other incumbents running made the final field, as did 3 former city councillors. The 18 remaining candidates are Alexandra Amparo del Villar, Corey Belanger, Juan Castaneda, Sakari Chow, Tai Chum, David Conway, John Drinkwater, Rodney Elliott, Martin Hogan, Harry Cortiker, John Leahy, Martin Laurie, Rita Mercier, Vesna Noon, David Wallette, Daniel Rourke, William Samaras, and Jeffrey Thomas. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 5th. Youth homelessness affects many communities around the world, and Lowell is no exception. On September 23rd, the community came together to explore the problem and possible solutions at Community Teamwork's 2nd annual Youth Homelessness Summit.
What happened today was kind of a cumulative response to the past 9 months of services. So last year, I think it was last June, CTI held a summit to end youth homelessness. And basically what that was bringing all sorts of service providers together to raise awareness of this issue and try to figure out what we need to do as a community to move forward to help these young folks.
So that's really what we're here today, to hear the progress we've made over the past year in working in partnership, in receiving some state and federal funding and city funding to really make a dent in this problem. And just this year, we've worked with over 125 young adults to stabilize their housing and to allow them to move forward in a very positive way.
The primary cause of homelessness is family conflict, not being on the same page, not agreeing with their lifestyles. That might be conflicts with how they identify, being part of the LGBTQ community.
It's a really high-cost housing market in this area, one of the highest in the state, and that causes families often to have stress and housing instability themselves. Over 200 young adults experience homelessness each year, and probably more than that. That's the number we can actually count, but many young adults are struggling, and they're at the high schools around the area. They're at the university, at Middlesex Community College, and we're partnering with those institutions to make sure there are places for young adults to live as they continue their education.
So some of the specific recommendations that the task force came up with, I'll share a couple of them with you. Creating in the city, for the first time, a new position that is a homelessness coordinator. This position is critically important to the recommendations and the work that the task force has recommended. This person is going to carry forward all of those recommendations, working across barriers, not just in the city, but working with providers, working with developers, working with individuals, and with the folks who are working with the homelessness.
Community teamwork along with partners, with the federal government, with the state funding, and the city of Lowell are working hard to make sure that every young adult has a place to call home. Often people ask, what can I do to help? People can connect with us at Community Teamwork with any one of our partners. They can donate money. They can attend our annual fundraiser, which is a rock and roll fundraiser. It's a blast. People dance up a storm. We encourage people to come to that. So if you know people who are struggling, have them come to Community Teamwork, have them contact us at our resource center, and we are more than willing to help anyone who walks through our doors.
The youth it's their voice. It's why we're all here, is we want to make sure that they're heard, and this is a great opportunity for that. And I'm proud of the young people that participated in today's events, and that's what made it. That's what needed to happen.
To learn more about how you can support these efforts, visit the Community Teamwork website. Art, science, and physical activity all came together again at the 4th annual Lowell Kinetic Sculpture Race. The day-long multi-stage race snaked through the city from Merrimack Street to the Merrimack River. LTC was there and brings you these highlights.
Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! I, insurgent. Of medically mad mind. And insane ingenuity. Do solemnly swear. To grease my giggling gears.
To grease my giggling gears.
To be silly. Smirk. And smile often. I will always maintain. A fun frenzy of funk. Yow! I promise to uphold the kinetic spirit. And when faced with potentially perilous problems, I will remember the one rule to rule them all. I will have fun for the glory. 2019 Kinetic, put your hands together for everybody, and you crazy people, get the again.
We have a whole bunch of teams that are going to be going through a STEAM-oriented kind of event here. So that's science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And all of these teams have had to kind of sort out how heavy their machines are, whether they're going to actually be able to float in the Merrimack River, whether they're going to be able to survive the mud pit, and whether they have their big enough wheels to be able to kind of propel themselves through it. They also have to kind of think about speed and be able to kind of make their way through the city, beating other teams in some ways. It's a culmination of getting everybody to have fun around science and art. And so we brought this here to the city because Lowell is a great, fantastic place to have something like this. The people that live here are passionate about science and the arts and mathematics.
Right, so this is the third year of this machine. It's my fourth year in the race, so I've been here for every single one. And I actually helped build the lobster roll next to us that we took to another race in California. So I got hooked right away into this. It's just a huge, goofy, good time. I love building big, weird things, which is why I just kept wanting to go bigger and crazier. And seeing all the kids come up and marvel at what this thing is, be like, oh, a couple of guys built this in their backyard. Like, we're not engineers. skills, just a couple guys in their garage with, you know, a couple wrenches and a welder, and we made this thing, and it keeps working for some reason, and we're happy, and we keep having fun with it. It's just all about giving into the fun. Like, there's nothing practical about this. It's just big and silly, and as long as you can accept that you're going to be big and silly, that you're going to have a good time. Like, it is hard work, and like, we've had some late nights. We were up till very late last night making sure everything was ready, but just seeing the smiles on everybody's faces and all these little kids as I hand out a bunch of clown noses, like, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, you can feel it. It'll get a lot easier to pass.
I'm taking left by carrying, you take the right.
So it's moving along really fast. Yeah, but
we weren't necessarily expecting to do that. We were hoping to just be able to climb from the inside and push from the back, but eventually we just need to have someone get out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. We had a rough idea. It didn't work. We threw it out the window, tried something else, and made it through.
How hopeful are you for the water?
Should be okay.
Yeah.
We tested it on Tuesday, and it worked pretty well.
Perfect.
And there's no wind today, which is good. When we tested on Tuesday, there was a lot of wind, and we were actually getting blown upriver. So it's nice and calm. That flag isn't moving at all. So hopefully we'll just sail right downriver, no problems.
and we have entry.
That's a veteran immersion right there.
That is veteran. I've ever seen it. Yeah.
Nicely done, boys.
Very nicely done.
To see who made it on the winner's podium, watch the full program on LTC Channel 8. Keep an eye on our Facebook page for details. Lowell House is one of the Merrimack Valley's top addiction and recovery programs. Its annual recovery breakfast on September 26th brought together concerned residents and experts to discuss the process of recovery from addiction.
I wanna clap a little loud and then be bored. I wanna sing a little.
And I'd like to thank everyone who's here. We really appreciate all of your support and your recognition that addiction is a disease that requires a lot of attention.
As you know, Lowell House, under the leadership of Bill Gard, deals with the disease of addiction, alcohol, drugs, and opioids. I do not have to tell anybody in this room about those problems. Unfortunately, when we deal with the problems of addiction, this is a problem that is national in scope. And failure can seem overwhelming, especially with the opioid crisis. But it affects us all personally and directly on the local level. It is estimated that 2/3 of the families in Greater Lowell are affected in some way by the disease of addiction. So we are in the difficult situation of needing to find local solutions to a national problem. And I can say that personally. I have a grandniece that was just a wonderful girl, is a wonderful girl, but the thing is, playing in sports, going to the doctors, getting the medication, and it just led to a problem. Thank God she's recovered from that. But it does affect us all.
Sing freedom, freedom, sing freedom, sing freedom.
I started using when I was 12 years old. I'm 57 years old. I have a little bit over 18 months clean. We don't want to interrupt too much. Bill told me I only have, 35 minutes, Bill? Something like that? 35-ish? 4 minutes. I'll rush it. I got clean the first time in 1987 when I was 25 years old.
If there's anything we can learn from the addiction crisis, from the incarceration crisis, is that we need to take better care of our children. We need a better foster care system. We're failing our children, and then we're punishing them by putting them in jail for our failure. In my own family, following the loss of their father in 1968, in subsequent years, 4 members of the RFK family had addiction problems. and one of them, my cousin David, died of an overdose. And just this year, the granddaughter of RFK and the daughter of one of those individuals also died. So we know that this is not a problem of individuals, it's a problem of systems. It's a problem of over-marketing of drugs. It's a problem of the failure of the foster care system to give people an opportunity to succeed. And so these are problems that we can address. And we know that it's also a problem of not having adequate treatment for people who need help and of stigmatizing those people. And we know that organizations like Lowell House are on the cutting edge of solving that problem. So you should all be very proud to be here.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
For more information on services offered by the Lowell House, visit their website. In this week's Sunspot, Lowell Sun Enterprise Editor Chris Scott sits down with Lowell City Manager Eileen Donoghue.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Chris Scott, the Enterprise Editor of The Sun. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Sunspot. With us this evening is a return guest, City Manager Eileen Donoghue. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate it. So we're going to talk about updates on various Lowell infrastructure projects.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about some transportation, some buildings. So we were talking off air about why don't we just start with the big enchilada, the high school.
Yes.
And what's the latest with the high school and the timetable there? And,
sure. Yeah, that's it. You know, we are well underway on the developing the detailed design of the high school. As you have reported, the city did hire a construction manager, Suffolk Construction from Boston, who's been at the table now since August on this project, together with Skanska and our architects, Perkins and Eastman. We have almost daily meetings in terms of the design. Everything is being looked at from every angle of this project. It's really going to be an absolutely stunning project when
Well, I've
it's
seen
done.
the artist rendering, and it
The
looks like a real
renderings are
campus.
beautiful. It is a true urban campus. So we actually have a school building committee meeting that will give more detail this evening. That will be televised.
Which the Lowell Sun will cover.
Yeah, and we have those monthly. But we are very excited about this project. We're very excited for the city. And as I said, it is truly remarkable, all of the moving parts. Meetings everywhere from architects, designers, builders, with the people at the school, with the people having to do with, you know, sustainability, public safety, security. Every component and constituency is being met with and discussed, and those inputs are being put into the design.
When will the public really begin to see activity there? Now, we know that they've been putting a new roof on
The roof is
on the older building.
That's correct. That's been completed.
That's been completed. So when will the public really start to see some activity
Shovel
in and around the
ground.
high school?
Yeah, I mean, there's been ongoing activity. There's been lots of environmental testing that has happened over the past month and a half. So those kinds of activities are ongoing. In terms of the actual construction, we expect a year from now demolishing 75 Arcan Drive and then beginning the new process. That will start right then.
Would that be the first noticeable project?
That will be the first noticeable project. That's phase one. And what's key to that is, you know, once construction starts, we want it to continue on smoothly and very well planned. From the time we don't want to start and stop construction. So that's the plan. Once that's taken down, the new gym will be underway for construction, and I believe that should be completed in late 2021 or early 2022. So though the project in its entirety is of long duration, there will be new buildings coming online throughout that time, and so the students will have the opportunity to enjoy new facilities as early as 2022. And I think what is also important, we're trying to gear the timing of turning over new phases, whether it's the new gymnasium, the new beautiful freshman academy, 64 classrooms in lab space and maker space, we're trying to time it so that those activities would happen in the summer.
Where the students aren't there.
While the students aren't there, to have a smooth transition, and so that we can transition each one of the phases.
Now, we both know that the MSBA, the State School Building Authority, is fully committed to this project.
Correct.
And the state will be contributing how much money toward this project?
It's a $343 million project. Our component is $127 million, so the difference, 200 and I'm doing the math off my head, 215, 217 million. Maybe I didn't do the math right, but it's the lion's share of the money, and so it's. They approved this project at their June meeting. As you know, it's been a long time in coming, but they approved. They're committed to this project, and I think it's just going to be tremendous. And as I said, it's been nonstop.
Right. If there was ever a move
approved.
to try to stop that project, how do you think the MSBA would react to that? They'd probably just say you got to get back in line, and who knows when.
Well, I mean, this is the project that they've approved.
Yeah.
And so. We went through all the phases, in terms of being invited into the process, feasibility, schematic design, and this was what was approved by the MSBA. In terms of starting a new project, it would be getting back in line, and it took us quite a while to get to where we are.
Several years at least, right?
Yeah, I think we started it, as I recall, was back in 2014. I remember Superintendent Gene Franco coming down to the State House when we'd be meeting with the MSBA when I was in the Senate. And so we were thrilled back then to be invited into the first phase of this process. But it's a process. It takes a long time.
So take us to the other big project.
Yes.
Just watching the clock here, the courthouse. When is the Judicial Center set
So
to
I
open?
was told by some representatives of DCAM that they think it will be completed on December 25th, 2019. I don't know why it would be Christmas Day, but that's what they told us. And then there'll be months that they will phase in the move to the courthouse.
So the end of next year?
The end of this year.
Oh, 2019.
Okay. Yeah, the end of this year. And again, beautiful project, and it's one that is going to change a whole lot down in the Hamilton Canal area with, trips of anywhere from 12 to 1,500 people a day visiting the new Justice Center. So a game changer.
Any idea who the center might be named after? Have there been any meetings on that, or are there any emails going back and forth between some people?
Not to my knowledge. There were conversations back over several years, but nothing recently. But I expect there probably will be some effort.
Whose responsibility is that ultimately?
That's a good question. I think.
Does the state defer to the city, or does the city defer to the state, or is it a collaboration?
We haven't named a courthouse in a long time, so I can't say. No, they don't always name courthouses either. Like
I'm
the
just
Lowell
thinking
District Court.
in Lowell, scratch that. In Lawrence, they opened a judicial center a number of years ago,
And Judge
they
Fenton.
named it after an esteemed judge.
That's correct. Yeah, and that sometimes happens. But stay tuned.
Yeah, well, we will. Now, while we're on the Hamilton Canal District, what about the garage?
The
new parking
garage, we
you finally
broke
overcome
ground.
the hiccup of.
We overcame the $12 million, shortfall. Went back out to bid, and we were very happy to receive 5 bids from 5 great companies. We awarded the project to Shawmut Construction of Boston. We broke ground last month. They are well underway with the foundation, and we will see the precast concrete arriving on flatbed trucks as early as December of this year. It's a pretty fascinating process.
How many spots is that garage?
900.
And that's to help the Judicial Center as well,
Yep.
correct?
And the project requires, I think I'm told, 850 trucks delivering precast concrete of 80 feet long.
Now, how are they going to get in there? Are they going to get in there over the new bridge and the work that's being done at Dutton and Broadway?
Yes, that would. They will be coming into the existing access to the Hamilton Canal, and it's one of the reasons that we are going to wait on moving forward with Lord Overpass.
Oh, that was my next question, because they
would have to go through construction, and that wouldn't be very good timing.
So the Lord Overpass, then. So that's that's a news flash today, then. So is that going to be pushed back a little bit in order?
We're talking
at least
about
until
that. We're talking about
the garage is done.
Not till it's done. Not till it's done. But just for the delivery of the precast concrete. So, So we have the $35+ million garage that's underway. We expect that to be finished a year from now. We have streets F and G in the Hamilton Canal District. We received over $8 million of grants for that effort, and those streets and the new Signature Bridge are being finalized, and there's only a few weeks left in those projects. Very exciting.
Does that include the new bridge right at the intersection with Dutton that they're working on as we speak?
No, that's a different
Okay.
project. I know. I need a Rolodex, a spreadsheet to keep them all straight. And so what's important about the streets F and G and about the garage is that now we are opening up the potential for the other development in the Hamilton Canal. Because without the streets,
private investment.
Absolutely. And so we are talking to investors and our developers, and it's exciting time. We're finalizing some of the details on the land swap with the national park. So everything has been moving full steam ahead, and that's really an exciting thing.
We've got just 2 minutes left.
Sure.
And I just wanted to hit on a road project as well.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this one until today, but the Route 38 project.
Route
That's
38.
going to cause some havoc for a lot of people. So what's going on there?
So Route 38, the state is reconfiguring Route 38 from Phoenix Ave past Kittredge Park down toward East Merrimack Street, making it safer. Making especially the intersection of Andover and Nesmith Street. Right now it's kind of a free-for-all, and making dedicated turn lanes. They will be taking some land along the street and making much more safe the area of Kittredge Park. There will also be beautification of Kittredge Park.
This is all the way from Phoenix Ave, which is past the Oakland's fire station.
Correct.
All the way to, basically Saints?
Almost to Saints.
Okay.
Almost to Saints. So that's going to be a project that's going to affect traffic, but we are working very hard to make sure people in the city, coming to the city, traveling the city, get great updates as to traffic on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. So whether it's Route 38, the Lord Overpass, the Tiger Bridge projects, all of which are ongoing, as well as our construction projects that will be going on in the Hamilton Canal. And, of course, ultimately the high school project.
Right.
And then one other update is we were awarded by the MSBA on schools repairs, boilers and roofs, over $8 million, which was fabulous for the city. And so we are underway making repairs to our schools, and we will be applying again in January for about
more
7 or 8 more.
maintenance, right.
Yeah, great program, essential for Lowell in order to make sure we're putting the resources into our school building.
All right, well, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to the latest edition of Sunspot. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another newsmaker. Have a good night, everyone.
And that's all for this edition of LTC News. You can find us on LTC channels 8, 95, and 99, online at ltc.org, on Roku in the LTC News playlist, on Facebook at LTC Lowell, or on our YouTube page. We leave you now with more scenes from the Kinetic Sculpture Race. I'm your host, Matt Nelson. Thanks for joining us.